Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So I've been having a lot of fun doing these gift guides recently. I will say some of them have been on the upper price point level. I also did a gift guide on my Substack as well, but today I want to switch it up and I wanted to do a CBK inspired gift guide, all under $250. So let's just get into it. And we're starting off with something I think that is very special, and I don't feel like it gets talked about when it comes to her style. Of course, I've done several videos going into her style, but I wanted to talk specifically about Go-Go Jewelry. Carolyn actually wore a ring from Go-Go Jewelry, and this is an independent brand based in Cumberland Island, Georgia. And this is also the place where she got married. And the designer takes a lot of inspiration from the local wildlife, and you see these incredible organic shapes. And you see that here in this rattlesnake ring. It's very unique, sculptural. Go-Go actually designed the wedding rings for both Carolyn and John for the ceremony. So very CBK coded, very meaningful, and also you can get the silver one under $250. I had to mention flip-flops, and I also included Havaianas on my Mary-Kate and Ashley gift guide, but I just think the Havaianas, they're very timeless. You do not need to go up to like the luxury version of the row, unless you're just somebody that you're so rich it doesn't matter. This to me is very Carolyn Bessette, kind of an easy no-brainer gift. Now, another point I want to mention is she shopped vintage, she shopped pre-loved, and I think that's what made her style feel really quite unique and authentic in the 90s. And I wanted to mention this 90s vintage Prada bag. Now, of course, Prada has done their 1995 bag, which goes well above our price bracket, but I think you can find very similar styles on the RealReal or like resale sites. Sometimes you'll find it maybe slightly above the $250 price point if you want to get something that is like really one-to-one. But I would also even mention Tom Ford during the Gucci era had very similar kind of like boxy style bags, but I of course think Prada was one of her go-to brands. And of course she famously wore these very quite structured, shiny, sleek leather bags. Again, I don't think it has to necessarily be Prada. You could of course find vintage Prada, but I think just something from the 90s. It could be Gucci, it could be even Kate Spade, honestly. She also did wear Kate Spade, like here she is with this backpack, which I'll also mention, but again, she famously wore these sorts of like sleek structured bags, which aren't really right now the vibe. I feel fashion right now, it's very into like slouchy, more relaxed bags, but I don't know, there's something about this for like the CBK lover. She would definitely appreciate this. Next, I also want to mention the Comme des Garçons, this pouch. Here she is wearing it as a clutch, but I think it also would make a great sort of catch-all inside of your larger bags. It's very minimal, practical, timeless. It's very discreet, but that's, I think, the point. Okay, so this next is a bit of a stretch, but you see her here wearing this green wallet from Hermes. Now, this is a stretch. However, I don't think you need to necessarily get this exact same one, as this is also Lizard. It probably won't be under the $250 price point, but you can definitely find Hermes wallets like just at or under the $250 price point, or for something that is more realistic. I think these vintage Prada wallets that are this kind of continental shape, these are definitely easier to find pre-loved. So yeah, longer wallets. Again, these types of wallets have not been that popular due to the fact that people aren't carrying things like cash or checks or like checkbooks, anything of that nature. But I also think reimagining a wallet and wearing it like a clutch, I just think it has a certain level of chicness to it. Next, we've got this Wooding and Davis mesh bag. So this is something you can definitely find pre-loved. You wore this with that famous white button-up shirt and the Yoji skirt, an iconic moment. These are bags you can find secondhand for such a great steal. Just such a nice little evening bag moment, a little piece of CBK history. There's an assortment of these floating around on the secondhand market. It doesn't have to necessarily be this style. With sunglasses, I would have loved to include the Celine optical pair that she wore, but they're over the budget. However, she did wear these Oakley E-wire sunglasses that have this oval shape. They're not available anymore. However, I think a close alternative would be the Oakley eye jackets. Not identical, but for that kind of like sporty 90s energy, for someone that plays a lot of sports, goes a more active lifestyle, these kind of have that 90s vibe with these round oval shapes. Of course, you can also hunt down like vintage Oakleys. But what I really like about the OG ones from the 90s is there's that wire wireframe that makes it feel quite minimal, whereas the eye jackets, it's more sporty, which can also be a vibe as well. Another item I wanted to mention was the LL Bean boat and tote. Very classic New England, practical, for someone going away on the weekends or even just for like a chic grocery run look. Like I just feel like these bags totally make sense. And then I also wanted to mention these, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this name, but is it Say? Regardless, she wore these beanies. Here's this classic beanie as well as this trapper style. The brand still makes the beanie, and I think this is a nice winter gift. And then this is something that I've low-key kind of just wanted for myself in a really niche way, and it's this Woolrich Hudson's Bay stripe snap pullover. I just want one of these personally for myself. It has the iconic Hudson's Bay stripes. It's a Canadian department store, but it just shut down, and so RIP the Bay. But I just wanted to mention this as one for the Canadian girlies. Personally, I'm just looking to find one of these vintage in like a decent condition. This is just more of a me thing that I just wanted to mention. Next is slightly over budget, and we're kind of cheating here, but I just wanted to mention this. Of course, you could go on the Real, look up vintage Yohji Yamamoto, price it max $250, and you could probably find some really great pieces. But I wanted to mention this specific jacket. So this is the Weepon cloth China jacket, and it goes for $270 USD, but it does kind of evoke sort of a Carolyn energy, simple black, has more of a generous fit. But yeah, something about this look, the button up, the collar, it being all black just feels very CBK coated. Now, when it comes to beauty, she did wear Chanel's Rouge Noir, or back then it was called Vamp. That was the shade she wore. It was very 90s. It's very of that era. It's also quite, I feel like, a color that is very now, and it's a really beautiful color. I will say personally, Chanel nail polish, maybe it's just my lifestyle, but it does chip, so every time I've had to wear this, I have to wear it with the gel coat. It's keeping it real, but I think it's such an iconic color. Anyone that kind of loves this sort of like 90s era style, which also feels like this color feels quite current now, I think it's a nice gift to consider. And then I also wanted to mention MAC lip conditioner. I think this is just a really considerate gift in general, a nice winter gift, like a specific lipstick shade. If I'm gonna be honest, looking at the lipstick shades that she wore from The Face or Bobbi Brown, they may not necessarily be colors for everybody. I think a MAC lip conditioner would just be one of those like gifts anyone would really appreciate and totally use. And then finally, I also wanted to mention the Egyptian musk oil, the scent she famously wore, very classic, clean, effortless scent. Also very inexpensive. So yeah, that is my list. Those are CBK inspired gifts under or roughly under $250. And honestly, I just think it proves that Carolyn just had amazing style. Yes, Carolyn had those really expensive pieces, Hermes pieces, the Cartier pieces, but she also had those everyday items that didn't have to be ultra expensive. A lot of her wardrobe was very simple, thoughtful, timeless. You can absolutely channel this look without having to spend a fortune, as well as gift this look without having to spend a fortune either. So yeah, it's just been really fun to make these gift guides, and that's my video for today. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.